Recently, I made a video about how immersion can be a trap for beginners. However, I didn't explain my approach to solve the problems of early immersion very well. For the last 20 days, I've been learning Japanese and using repetition instead of immersion. What I'm doing at the moment is content repetition, based on the ideas of Paul Nation, but I'm doing my own thing at the same time. First of all, I want to say that if a method works for you, you need to stick with it. Nobody's the same and nobody has the same amount of time. Everything I say is only about my process, and you can see if it works for you or disagree with me in the comments. For me, I see immersion as watching or reading something in your target language, raw, whatever it is. When I started immersing myself in English after 1 year, I created a new YouTube account and started watching videos of my interests entirely in English. However, for Japanese, I'm going to focus on watching the same content over and over again until I fully understand it. Saying like that sounds just immersion with the same content, right? But they are really different from one another. Immersion, from my point of view, is about building your comprehension on your target language by intuition. You watch or read a lot so you can see how many words can be used in different contexts and understand their meanings unconsciously. Before I start Japanese, I began with Korean, and I try immersing myself every day with a Korean drama for 6 months. However, the fact that I only understand 3 words in every episode was unbearable. Some people may read that it's just the process of immersion. However, if you don't have 3+ hours every day to immerse yourself, it can be very frustrating. We have jobs, college, school, friends, and it doesn't seem like a good idea to make immersion the only goal of our lives. Besides that, keep in mind that 1 hour you have as a beginner is totally different from 1 hour you have as an intermediate learner. Your level is not the same. I remember when I started immersion with English, that 1 hour every day was painful. However, I easily spend hours on TikTok entirely in English nowadays. It's a no-brainer, but that's because I had thousands of hours of immersion. Content repetition is about watching or reading one piece of content in your native language so you can grasp the context, and then reading or watching entirely in your target language over and over again until you understand 80 to 100% of that piece of content. The goal here is really about understanding and acquiring, so you can translate without shame, because if you translate, it's a sign that you are understanding. It's crazy how much you can retain after some repetitions. I understand minutes of the episode I'm watching, not just 3 words. It is an insanely simple task to do as a beginner, and this will be the foundation you need to start immersing. Because even though I hold this position, it's impossible to say that immersion doesn't work. At least it works for me. My argument is just that you need to have a solid foundation before trying to immerse. For me, if I had tried to immerse without this foundation, I would have give up. However, immersion is absolutely necessary in the long run, not just because you learn new words, but because you train your capacity to learn more about culture, ideas, history, and so on. So, how do you do the content repetition? Basically, you need to be able to listen and test if you are understanding or not. So my process is, first of all, I watch something in my native language, only a language that you are fluent in and can understand very well. I recommend that you watch something you really enjoy, but it's not too long. So never pick a movie or drama episode. Instead of watching a little video on YouTube or an episode of anime that you really like, after you feel comfortable, remember the context, you can start making repetitions, aka watch without anything in your native language. You can use subtitles, but in your target language. You can repeat and use it just a part of an episode or the whole thing. It's up to you. Last but not least, I recommend that you use SRS program like Anki to track your progress. I already made a video about how to make hundreds of cards in minutes with the original audio. After you grasp 80% of the cards and watch and understand at least 80%, you move on and do the same process with something new.